incorporate the grab bar into the subframe, which really with ATVs is not a wise idea because the grab bar does get damaged over time from different situations. We've incorporated a flag holder and a punch out on the plastic for the sand dune riders or the consumers that buy our bike. And with a 525 and a 540 big bore kit, things of that, I think we're going to find that we'll have a lot of sand dune riders that will appreciate this bike. Lots of torque. As we move through the back, again, you know, we have the Maxxis Razor tires, we have the Douglas wheels, and we have, I should probably bring you here, excuse me, and if you could just see this, we have an 1.5 inch spacer that resides behind a self-locking nut without a cotter key. If a racer puts a tire and a wheel on a hub with his lug nuts, he can come in with tire damage, remove one nut very quickly, slide the hub off, slide the new hub and wheel back on, and replace that nut again. And the bike is out of the pit in short time. So again, race-ready design. If you want the bike wider, it comes at 45.5 in the back. If you move this 1.5 inch spacer inboard and the other one on the other side inboard, it will be at 48.5. So you have 3 inches of adjustability on a stock axle. So when you think about this, you don't have to replace the tires and wheels. You don't have to replace the shocks. You don't have to replace the steering stem. You don't have to modify for a steering stabilizer. We've got tapered, strong tapered handlebars on this unit. They're fine. Different adjustability on that steering stem. You come to the rear axle and you can make it 3 inches narrow, 3 inches wider, and it's proven to be strong. It doesn't bend. These are items, foot pegs. You don't have to buy any of this stuff. It's race ready. If you come on back here again, and we start looking at other items that I consider race ready. This swing arm was designed with the no-link concept. And I'll tell you, everybody asks, how does it work without no-link? Well, that's handled very well through a new design, or not a brand new design, but a design on ATV now with O-leans, piggyback shock, adjustable rebound, adjustable compression, adjustable preload. That's all pretty basic. But more important, inside this shock body, we have 2 pistons now. One piston works as all the other pistons have in the past. The second piston enters a cup in the bottom of the body when you get down to about the last 1.5 inches of shock travel. At that point, you have 2 pistons controlling the compression ratio, which means your compression rate is variable, just as if you had a linkage system hanging on the bottom of this swing arm. The advantage to not having the link, can you imagine? How many needle bearings have you replaced? How many rusty shafts? Bad seals? How hard is it to get your shock off on some of those systems with linkage? And how much ground clearance and additional skid plates do you have to protect it? We've reduced maintenance, we've reduced cost, we've increased ground clearance, and we've made ease of maintenance like shock removal with 2 bolts in and out in no time. We think that no-link and the PDS combination from O-leans is the perfect solution for cross-country racing. If you come on through and look at the simplicity of this, single mount here, chrome moly design with flex in mind, an open bearing carrier back here where you can get to your Zerk fitting without taking your bearing carrier out of the swing arm. Now, you know, how simple was that to do? Also in this bearing carrier, I think all of you have done bearing maintenance probably as often as valve adjustments on a lot of your past product. Ball bearings just don't carry the load back here. KTM decided to incorporate strong, probably overcapacity tapered bearings. They hold their set, they don't wear out, they're lubable, and they hold their adjustment with very light tension on this anti-fade nut. And the nice thing about this anti-fade nut system is we've incorporated a very positive pinch bolt. And this pinch bolt design right here with the Allen drive actually holds this anti-fade nut or axle bearing adjustment nut in place for real. You don't have to tape it, you don't have to put Loctite on it. This will stay in place. Okay, very nice system. Chrome moly axle. I don't have enough information background-wise to find out if anybody OE has ever done that, but I can tell you that this is made out of high-quality chrome moly steel as well as all the other components. Tapered bearings in here. Cam, off-center cam type chain adjuster. Simply a spanner wrench here after loosening these 4 bolts. You set your chain tension. It's really, really easy and quick. Again, it was made in mind for service at the racetrack. This rotor will come off of its mounting hub, turn 90 degrees, and actually slip right off without disassembly of any additional components. The sprocket as well. so you can replace a sprocket, replace a rotor without further disassembly of axle components. Again, race ready in mind. A skid plate. Look how thick this material is. It's a plastic type material, probably a polypropylene type material. But to tell you what the true combination of materials and that it's made of, I don't have that. But we have found that in hundreds of hours of testing all over the world, we have had no problem. We've had no problem with the durability of this skid plate. The skid plate is held up through our GNCC race. It's held up through the snowshoe event, which was compared to Blackwater. We beat and beat and beat this off of rocks for over 2.5 hours. And Tim Farr, which is our research and development rider for KTM, riding a few select events of GNCC and just about on his way to clinching a TT Extreme Dirt Track Series championship this year. At this point, I gotta stay on the idea that this is one of the toughest skid plates that you can buy, OE or aftermarket. It is the plate that you should leave on your bike. It comes OE from the showroom and incorporates a really high quality, high wear, very durable, built-in chain guide, if you will, that will make sure that that chain meets the sprocket every time. Looking at that, we've said a lot back here, but truly is a lot to be said. We're going to look closely at the single piston floating design Mergura brake in the back that has been very good to us and incorporates a couple neat features. It has the ability to be removed from this bike with 2 frame bolts on the master cylinder because we have a built-in reservoir and 2 bolts back here on the caliper. You can take 2 bolts off, 2 bolts here, move the line, and have a pre-bled, completely loaded with pads brake system in your hand and probably on and off in less than 2 minutes. If something were to happen back here in a GNCC race and a rider were to have to install his master cylinder and re-bleed the system, it would take so much longer for him to do that than to walk up to a KTM and install a completely new sealed unit in 2 minutes. Race ready for the technician as well as the rider. Okay, these guys, I have to point this stuff out to you because a consumer will not walk up to this bike and see all of that. You just have to look at it like this. It might be a good time while I'm here just to mention they've really tucked the light away back to keep it safe, tucked it way up in here. LED, very bright. We've had no durability problems with it. Spinning around. Brings us a good time, and I think it's in the light properly here to make sure that you can see that they've put an aluminum large canister 94 decimal level exhaust system on this. I think we're going to have the most high performance ATV quad ever built with the lowest sound levels typical to most race bikes today. Now I think you'll have some OEs that might produce an ATV with lower sound levels, but they really restrict the performance of the machine so much that the consumer has to buy an aftermarket pipe that typically is quite loud. The performance of this bike, high torque, high horsepower, lightweight, serviceability, 94 decimal level, good header system. This bike, this ATV, incorporates really a high-performance OE pipe that should not need replaced by an aftermarket expensive system. Again, I think this is all the value that comes back to the consumer. By the time he purchases this bike versus purchasing another brand and upgrading it with all of these components, we feel that we can save the consumer at least $4,000 to get equal performance. Okay, some idea. What I'll do now is come back over here to this side. We'll show you a few things. I have to get excited about these things because with some of our other competitors, you just don't see this high of quality all the time. Looking here, you see that master cylinder that I was telling you about that has no extra plastic bottle or hoses for the reservoir. I think that's more durable and it's going to probably make the bike more likely to finish every race. Attached to it is the highest quality brake lever probably in the industry. This brake lever doesn't reside out here where your boot rubs on it. They tucked it back in behind the forged frame member. It's a lightweight aluminum, high quality, replaceable tip. It resides on a ball bearing that doesn't wear out and come loose, and if it does, you can replace the bearing. It has adjustable free play. It has adjustable ride height. Just that brake pedal alone is pretty much an indication of quality throughout the bike. Also, a sight glass window for quick oil checks, whether it's during the race or before the race. A quick change clutch cover that I probably can be safe to say will cost a consumer